And now the issue of Mary. I'm going to be pretty thorough on this. It's going to take a long time to cover their points of view regarding her and how wrong they are about her. This heretic is bowing to an image that doesn't even resemble the dark-skinned Jewish damsel. The original Jew was, you could say, Israel or Abraham, his grandfather. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. This lineage is the beginning of Jewry. Abraham was from Sumeria. Sumeria is in southern Iraq, or was in what is now southern Iraq. And they don't look like Hitler. They don't look white. So Catholics are very off by hundreds and hundreds of miles. Southern Iraqis would look like Saddam Hussein, so Jews look more like Saddam Hussein than like Hitler. Catholics can't even get how she looks right. If you're going to be an idolater, do it right. If he ran a zoo, he would say, just put the young hippo in the zebra exhibit and paint stripes. Good enough for him. If he lost his daughter, he would tell police, she's a female and young. That's all I got. You'd have to be blind to see this and not call it worship. Catholics are willfully blind, and is blinder than he who does not wish to see. They bow to her, they seek her intervention. They crawl on their knees to images of her. They call her a savior. They call her Queen of Heaven, which is a definition for goddess, not just any goddess, but a super powerful goddess, the highest level, pretty much. Do I describe Roman Catholics or pagans adoring a goddess? Most pagans in history worshipped their goddesses less than Catholics worship Mary, because those pagans attribute only very limited powers to their idols, such as water or fertility. But Catholic heretics make Mary out to be Queen of Heaven. Church of Mary, Queen of Heaven, it says. As you can see, God is the King of Heaven, so this makes Mary out to be a goddess, on par with God, which no one is. This is obvious idolatry. God says, thou shalt have no other gods before me, but Catholics have Mary before him. And not even a correct version of Mary, a depiction of her that's accurate. So Catholics unwittingly condemn themselves as idolaters, for they consider fertility goddess worshippers, such as ancient Sumerians, to have been idolaters, for attributing power to a female figure which she hasn't got. Now here's their reasoning behind calling her the Queen of Heaven. She is apparently the mother of God, right? Well, not exactly. Remember that God is a mistranslation of Elohim, which means gods, who are Ehad, one in unity. Of course, the Trinity is more than mere unity, or it would be tritheism of three separate gods being worshipped. But essentially, the three are one. Like if Jesus were a clone of the Father, but is exclusively the visible image of God. If this helps you understand the Trinity. Ruach is Hebrew for spirit and is feminine. So the motherly deity, if there were one, is God, not Mary. God has the motherly attributes, not Mary alone. She is not needed. According to Wikipedia, the Hebrew word for spirit is feminine. The Trinity is like a nuclear family. Father, Pater, Son, Son, the other type of Son, Pili, Earth, by symbolism, Mother, Spiritus Sancti, Moon. So Father, Son, Mother is like Sun, Earth, Moon, and Pater, Filii, Spiritus Sancti. The creation of God has a lot of symbolism teaching us about reality. So God put the Trinity in the galactic system that we have here. God put the Trinity in the very family to help us understand the Trinity. Can it be said that Mary is the mother of Elohim, gods? No, of course not. She is not the mother of a father. So in that sense, she is not the mother of God. She is not the mother of the Holy Spirit. In that sense also, she is not the mother of God. So only over Jesus is she the mother, yet not even totally. Watch. Jesus is the Word made flesh. He never began to exist. Only his mortal avatar had a beginning. His immortal self has no beginning, which is why he is Alpha and Omega, the first and last. He says, I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, saith the Lord, which is and which was and which is to come, the Almighty. Jesus is the image of the invisible God, who is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of every creature. For by him were all things created, that are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities or powers. All things were created by him and for him. This includes Mary. Jesus created Mary. Jesus is above Mary. And he is before all things, and by him all things consist. So back to Jesus' pre-existence. He said, I am. Before Abraham was, I am. So he claimed to be God who always exists and is never a has-been and is never preceded by anyone. For this implicit declaration of being God, the Jews wanted to kill him. So to what extent is Mary the mother of Jesus? Only physically, not spiritually, as his spirit source, since she did not create his spirit. Neither did she invent nor form his body. Jesus created Mary when she was in her mom's womb. For it became him for whom are all things, and by whom are all things, in bringing many sons unto glory, to make the captain of their salvation perfect through sufferings. For whom are all things, and by whom are all things. Jesus is the creator of Mary. Mary falls under all things. So if we want to be exact, we should call Mary a door Jesus created to enter the world. For she was just an instrument, and God did not need her, for he could raise up tools from stones. And he answered and said unto them, I tell you that if these should hold their peace, the stones would immediately cry out. Then Mordecai commanded to answer Esther, think not with thyself that thou shalt escape in the king's house, more than all the Jews. For if thou altogether holdest thy peace at this time, then shall their enlargement and deliverance arise to the Jews from another place. But thou and thy father's house shall be destroyed. And who knoweth whether thou art come to the kingdom for such a time as this? Esther was a Jewess given the name Ishtar, or Esther, or Easter, the name of a goddess. She has a lot of similarities to Mary. Notice that the man of God, Mordecai, tells her that God could use someone else. God doesn't need her. Same with Mary. Do you bow to the door when a king passes through it, or revere the king? Nebuchadnezzar spake and said unto them, Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, do not ye serve my gods, nor worship the golden image which I have set up? Now if ye be ready, that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the image which I have made, well, but if ye worship not, ye shall be cast the same hour into the midst of a burning fiery furnace, and who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hands? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. If it be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Then was Nebuchadnezzar full of fury, and the form of his visage was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Therefore he spake and commanded that they should heat the furnace 7 times more than it was wont to be heated. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonished, and rose up in haste, and spake, and said unto his counselors, Did not we cast 3 men bound into the midst of the fire? They answered and said unto the king, True, O king. He answered and said, Lo, I see 4 men loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt, and the form of the 4th is like the Son of God. Then Nebuchadnezzar came near to the mouth of the burning fiery furnace, and spake and said, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, ye servants of the Most High God, come forth and come hither. And Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came forth of the midst of the fire. A Catholic would say, I would have revered the pagan gods. It's not idolatry, because I don't intend to worship. Therefore it's not worship to bow to them. By their reasoning. After all, Catholics say that it's about intention, and words speak above actions to them. It's just reverence. They're just respecting the locals' culture. Except they know it is idolatry, regardless of intention. I wonder how many crusaders bowed to Mecca to save their lives, with a pretext that it's just reverence for the locals' culture. It's not worship unless I intend it. Arab culture says that bowing is for worship, pretty much only for worship. According to a Muslim, Muhammad, the false prophet, prohibited someone from bowing to another as a greeting. And this is in the Reddit for, if you are a Muslim in Japan, is it forbidden to bow? Now, Islam came far later, of course, but it got a lot of the traditions from the past that continued, so it reflects a lot of the past practices and beliefs. And in the Near East, bowing is for gods. In India, they bow to touch the feet or kiss the feet. It's not a total prostration. I was going to say prostate. Prostration. And both Jesus was called and his disciples to marriage. And when they wanted wine, the mother of Jesus, physically, not spiritually, as his source, and he was his actual own source because he always existed. Anyway, the so-called mother of Jesus saith unto him, They have no wine. Jesus saith unto her, Woman, what have I to do with thee? Mine hour is not yet come. His mother saith unto the servants, Whatsoever he saith unto you, do it. Now, notice how Jesus responded to her. He did not say, Oh, Mary, Mother of God, Hail, Hail Mary. No, he said, Woman. That's extremely disrespectful if a Catholic calls Mary merely woman. And this is his mother. He did not say, Oh, my mother. He could have said that, yeah, but he referred to her as just woman, because that's all she is a woman, not a goddess, not what you make her out to be, not a queen of heaven. She's just a woman, a holy woman whom God chose and who received great grace, which means undeserved mercy. Woman, what have I to do with thee? So he didn't call her a queen of heaven. That's very telling, isn't it? Jesus never bowed to her as unto a goddess, like these nominally Orthodox heretics do. Here's some Catholic propaganda. Honor your father and mother. That was the commandment. I too obeyed that commandment. She is mother. I love her and I honor her. I myself honored her. How come you don't? That disgusting Catholic propaganda lies about how Jesus looks, disobeys God's command to not depict him, and lies about the level of honor Jesus gives Mary.